The Tripods is a series of young adult novels from the late 1960s by John Christopher. They follow the story of Will Parker, who leaves home in England to rebel against the domination of the alien tripods, and he goes on a grand journey from the south of England to the Alps with his cousin Henry and their new friend Beanpole.
George Orwell's vision.
Prince William, obviously delighted with his new brother.
Now we come to our new science fiction series, The Tripods.
I remember watching the very first episode in 1984.
And my brother and I used to watch on PBS on Sundays in our market.
Come on, you're keeping Jack waiting.
I discovered the Tripods as a 13-year-old teenager who was wanting to watch something exciting and interesting.
It's a great day.
Never forget the image of the leg of the tripod on the lake.
Do we have any representatives from the United States here? Where are you? Okay, Germany, let's hear it for Germany. Come on, guys. Some crazy family from New Zealand.
Tripods 40's 40th anniversary celebration of the BBC series. It's been a gathering for cast and crew, a reunion for many of them, the first time in 40 years, and a gathering of fans as well who have as much passion for the show as they did back in 1984 when they first saw it.
Never for one moment did I believe there would be interest in the series 40 years later. In a series which, for me, was wonderful, agonizing, depressing, of course, but astonishing.
I mean, we've got 1 foot here in the studio, and it's taking up an awful lot of room. How big is it?
This one's 9 feet across.
I saw the Blue Peter clip and was absolutely intrigued by the whole idea of the tripods. And 3 people going on a massive adventure.
As a 14-year-old, my love for the Tripods was because it brought together a whole lot of my favourite things. Land of the Giants, The Adventure of Swiss Family Robinson, Huckleberry Finn, the 3-legged stomping machines from War of the Worlds.
I think it's a great adventure story. It's a great science fiction story. It's about discovering the world, perhaps going against it.
You'll never get what you want from me, never!
Every kid that watched the show thought that they were in the show.
My brother was watching it and he loved it, and I absolutely fell in love with it as well. It wasn't until much later, once the videos and the DVD were out, that I kind of found it again and then fell in love with it. I mean, very much fell in love with it, absolutely all over again.
The idea of Tripods 40 came about after interviewing so many cast and crew for the book. And it just seemed wrong that I was the only one having the pleasure of doing that. This epic series that the BBC had made had been almost brushed under the carpet.
Right, very quiet, we're at speed.
There hadn't been a book that had told the story before.
Could you stick your hand out again? So
is that about right?
That's about right.
To me, it was the fact that it was that story worth telling. And other people felt the same way. Effectively, Tripods 40 is perhaps the book live. Among the guests were Will Parker, played by John Shackley, Henry Parker, Jim Baker, Kerry Seal, who played Beanpole, Robin Hayter, who played Fritz, and producer Richard Bates, along with many others, including composer Ken Freeman.
Will's pugnacious is that he just is a rebel, he's a revolutionary. And Henry's kind of like, he has no one else. And so the bouncing off each other I thought was great.
Think about the day we'll be capped.
I knew you were scared.
I could just only be me and read the words of Henry and then take on board parts of his character, like he'd lost his mother when he was a young child, etc., and try and sew those in as best I could as a 16-year-old.
Why hasn't it taken us before now?
Maybe he wants to know what we'll do, or where we'll go.
When John Paul comes into it, you can see that he's the one who's kind of like the separator. So the balance of the three that was really formidable. It was a great piece of writing.
Are there more tripods in France than in England, do you think, Will?
Something that's really struck me actually being here now, looking at it in retrospect, I was just listening to all these creative people up here before. And I was thinking, I'm just here by dint of the fact that I'm a bit taller than most people.
If you're not back by dusk, I shall go on without you.
I'd read the book when I was a kid, actually, so I'm a little bit older than these guys. And I read it in the 60s when the book first came out, The White Mountains. So I knew the story.
I love a lot of 80s programmes. I like the 80s feel, the 80s music. It's a privilege to meet some of the key people behind that.
There was a commercial on television for BMW cars, very strange. If I ever make the tripods, that's the music I want.
Some of the stuff that I used on tripods was derived from my string machine, which I invented. And it gives this a chorus effect, which makes it sound huge.
Even as a young man, I was kind of in awe at the whole complex of things. When you are on the inside, it's very difficult to imagine the scope and the enormity of what this show was.
This is a rough model of the city of the tripods. Each year, young people are chosen to serve the tripods in their city. They must gather the information we so badly need in order to destroy these monstrous hives of cruelty and domination.
Could you give us an idea of the scale of the city?
Well, each individual pyramid is about 7 feet high as it stands here. The scale, in fact, is supposed to then give it a full-size scale of about 300 feet. The BBC were in the process of building and just completing a unique video effects control room and small studio. They leapt on the tripod because it gave them the perfect opportunity at this moment in time to demonstrate what they could do on video, which probably nobody else in the world could do, actually.
For instance, the opening shot of when the tripod goes into the city, that was a composite of 6 shots.
The chief engineer spilled his coffee into the keyboard and the whole special effects thing.
It took 15 months to design.
It was buggered. That put us back probably nigh on 2 months. The problem was that the only studio that was available was Studio One, this vast studio, which was costing zillions a day to use. We were going hugely over budget every day of the week. What was the alternative?
Oh dear, that does have a happy ending, I can promise.
The book's called The Tripod's All for Nothing as a reference to the final line of the second series of the show, which is, of course, has it all been for nothing? And it's become iconic for everybody who has affinity for the show. And it sums up very much the way that producer Richard Bates felt.
The reason it was given to me, finally, about the decision that had been taken upstairs, that we'd gone over budget and they couldn't afford to do Series 3.
Has it all been for nothing?
That line wasn't meant to be the final line of the show, but after he'd been kicked in the guts, so to speak, he couldn't resist the temptation to finish things that way.
We are here today to give thanks to the tripods, who for over 100 years
have brought peace and tranquility to our world.
I think the Tripods endures through the wonderful storytelling. Those kinds of post-apocalyptic stories I think we like to retell ourselves as human beings again and again. On that basis alone, it stands up.
I've got friends that didn't see the show, and then they said, hey, you're coming over here for what? And now they've started watching some of the shows.
Today, the Tripods 40 has been an absolutely joyous celebration.
I can't imagine when we would ever get an event like that again. It's just not going to be possible. Meeting so many members of the cast and other lively enthusiasts, I shall say, like myself, has been it's been a dream come true.
I think the interest in Tripods has endured because it was so different to anything in terms of both its production ethic and the subject matter and the scale. And I think that really connected with people, and it made it feel far more emotional to those of us who viewed it as children.
It's always been special to me. It's always been a unique part of my life. The main thing for me is the relationship that throughout the time.
I had a fantastic time on this series, I have to say, and I'm so grateful for having been involved in it.
We got to learn how to juggle, walk on stilts. If I run out of money, I just go to the car park and I'll start juggling. People give me money.
I think in the second series, and there was some sort of tripod attack, and we were running through the woods, and these bombs were going.
That's right, going off around here.
Yeah, this is the tripod.
Now, Tripods for me is about the people. Having spent 7 years talking day in, day out with the people who worked on the show and the people who love the show, that takes on a far broader meaning to me than the show itself or the books themselves. It's more than just a TV series, it's the Tripods trilogy.